Hi, my name is Maisy Ma and I'm a former world-class figure skater from Hong Kong. So I think English was definitely a huge part of my skating career, not only for training, but for competitions as well. But in that facility, every single thing that I learned from my coaches, all these techniques, were all conducted in English. So all my lessons were conducted in English. So for me, I went to Poland for my first Junior Grand Prix competition. I was in a small room with skaters from Europe, they were from France, Italy, Japan, every single nation. And we were all sitting in the same little room. The atmosphere was a little cold, but I'm very outgoing, and I just started talking to some of them and introducing myself because I just like to break the ice. So one of the first skaters I talked to was Evgenia Medvedeva, and so we just started talking about where we're from and our hobbies and what we loved about skating, and it just started as casual talk, but I didn't really think that arriving at competition I could make so many friends. But of course that only happened because we spoke English. That was the universal language in that room at the time. So a lot of times for athletes it can seem very repetitive because all the training is exactly the same over days and weeks and years. But our coaches would always tell us it's all about the basics. The basics is very important. It might seem very boring to you at the start, but when you're older you will realize how the base is the start of every single technical element that you do, and it's super, super important to keep your base rigid. And so to help us be more engaged and to help us be more determined with our training, he actually came up with a lot of ideas, like adding little games or adding a little excitement to our training to have us more interested throughout the training process. And I feel like this is very important not only in sports, but it could be in just learning English, for example, as well. So in English, there's one thing that requires a lot of practice. That would definitely be grammar and also vocabulary, because the more times you say it, it engraves into your mind, and it also brings out what you need to change the next time. And so a lot of these quizzes and games would enhance the way that you learn. And so I see that a lot of hybrid learning nowadays, they do a lot of games and quizzes that have interesting and colorful interfaces that are very, very engaging for students, and I think that's a great way to learn as well. So as an athlete, there are always bad days where you just don't feel like yourself. Maybe it's because from an injury or your body doesn't feel like it's as energized, but you always have to stay positive because every training day is very, very important leading up to competition. So our teacher would always come up with very interesting ways of trying to stimulate us. So for students who are learning English, you always can find ways to stimulate yourself if you feel like your learning process is getting a little bit bland or a little bit boring. So for example, in the Oxford University Press, they have apps like the learning apps, or grammar app, listening app, or the vocab app. These are very engaging ways and visually interesting ways for you to learn more vocabulary or to fix your grammar problems. So when you get a little bit tired or burnt out with your learning, these are definitely new ways to excite your process.